TikTok is banned. The Supreme Court refuses to stay the execution of the law that, effective January 19th, forces TikTok to be sold to a US company or to shut down. You might have seen customers react to the US government trying to ban TikTok over concerns that its Chinese parent company could exert too much control and provide information to the Chinese government by downloading a TikTok clone that is literally run by the Chinese government. I mean, it's called Red Note after Mao's Red Book of Quotations.
So, as you guys saw from the clip that I have from Legal Eagle, a fellow content creator here on YouTube, TikTok is, yes, officially banned starting tomorrow, January 19th. So, get your TikTok videos done now, guys. Get them uploaded, get them downloaded, copy them, do whatever you need to do. Because as of January 19th, you will no longer be able to use TikTok if you're American. Now, Joe Biden and Donald Trump have both declared that they're not actually going to enforce the law. But as you will see in the video, if you guys go watch from Legal Eagle, I'll post a link in the description. You can watch the full video. At the end of it, he does say that this, well, is not really legal for a president to do. It's not in their power. A president has to honor whatever law exists. So technically, they're supposed to have this law and they're supposed to enforce it, right? So I do have a TikTok, guys. I don't really go. I think I posted some videos, like maybe 10 of them, several months ago. I got some traction, but never really committed myself to it. I don't really like TikTok all that much personally. So for me personally, whether TikTok exists or not doesn't really affect me. And on top of that, I'm Canadian anyways. So for me, TikTok is not going to be banned, at least not as of yet. Now, obviously, there are many countries that have talked about banning TikTok as far as government employees are concerned, right? Especially if you're in, law enforcement or the military, where you might have access to sensitive data, right? That's where it's more the ban is going to occur. But if it's during your personal time, you're a private citizen, most countries are not looking to ban the app, right? The ban really tends to be much more for other countries, much more for if if you have a certain job title or job position or you work for the government kind of thing, and it's really during your office hours. Now, I will talk a little bit about why the TikTok is being banned in the US, and I'm going to continue to refer to Legal Eagle's video. Again, the link will be in the description. I'm obviously not going to show the full video. You guys understand copyright laws and protection and all of that, so I can't show the full thing. So by all means, guys, show him your support, show him some love, go watch the full video. He is a actual lawyer in the US. I think he practices in like 4 or 5 different states, so he knows better than what I know about American laws. Obviously, guys, this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm just giving you guys legal information that you can look up for yourself. And like I said, check out Legal Eagle's video.
But the Court of Appeals saw things differently. Quote, that the act does not fully solve the data collection threat posed by the PRC does not mean it was not a step in the right direction. And the court quoted liberally from the government's brief, stating, quote, as Assistant Director of National Intelligence Casey Blackburn explained, the PRC is the most active and persistent cyber espionage threat to the US government, private sector, and critical infrastructure networks. Its hacking program spans the globe and is larger than that of every other major nation combined. The PRC has pre-positioned itself for potential cyber attacks against US critical infrastructure by building out offensive weapons within that infrastructure. Consistent with that assessment, the government has found persistent PRC access in US critical telecommunications, energy, water, and other infrastructure. And the court noted that a bipartisan group of legislators concluded that China tracks user data. Quote, of particular relevance to the government's first justification for the act, the PRC has engaged in extensive and years-long efforts to accumulate structured datasets, in particular on US persons to support its intelligence and counterintelligence operations. So the court found that the government's 2 national security justifications were compelling state interests.
So, as you saw from the clip, guys, uh, one of the many reasons why the government decided to go ahead and ban TikTok until it gets sold to ideally an American corporation or individuals is because of the Chinese government's capacity to collect data and influence the American government, as quoted by Legal Eagle. Combined capacity for the Chinese government compared to every other country, I should say, China is the most powerful when it comes to the capacity to collect data and have an impact on infrastructure when it comes to the US and other countries, right? So the American government was concerned that by having TikTok on so many devices of so many private individuals in the US, that this could pose great security danger to the American population as a whole, right? Now, Legal Eagle does talk about other elements as to why it was banned. I won't get into all of it because a lot of it is beyond my scope, beyond my understanding. But obviously, another element is going to be the influence that TikTok and consequently uh, China might have on the mentality of people, right? Because as many people have brought up, is the content can change dependent on the individual, dependent on the country, right? A lot of the content we're not going to see here in the US or in Canada versus what China is. You're going to see that in many corporations. And that's another thing that Legal Eagle does go into his video, right? Is a lot of content will be different, will have, different reach depending on what you're going to. Um, you're not necessarily going to see the same things or have the same tools. You take Netflix for example. This is an example I'm giving here. Legal Eagle didn't talk about this in particular, right? When you look on Netflix, I as a Canadian citizen, there's going to be movies or TV shows that I have that if I go to Netflix USA, I'm not going to be able to see it, right? So companies do have a certain amount of control as to what content you're seeing, right? So with TikTok, there, there's filters that are available in the US that might not be, available in China and vice versa, etc. Right? He goes to mention in his video as well, the Chinese government has a law that if they request it, companies are required to hand over the data that they're requesting, right? So if you're out here giving your home address or your credit card or whatever it is to your TikTok app for whatever reason, and the Chinese government requests this, well, they're legally obliged to give this to it. But obviously, Legal Eagle also mentions that there's a lot of companies that are doing this, right? And he goes to mention that companies can sell that information, right? He mentions that basically in the US there is no full like privacy laws in the US, like especially like for me here in Canada, there are federal laws that demand a certain amount of privacy, a certain amount of, okay, this cannot be quote unquote public information, right? So you know all of that combined means that when you hand over your information to a private corporation, you don't really have any control or protection as to what that company does with that information, right? And who's handling that information, who can view it, why they view it, etc., right? There is no real protection. You're very limited. So that's why the government felt that it was required to step in with TikTok in particular, because even though Google and all YouTube and all these other corporations are also collecting your data, they felt like, well, this data is being handed over potentially to the Chinese government. So now what do we do? Do we really trust the Chinese government to protect us if the American government has no control over protecting information and its own citizens, can we really trust that the Chinese government is going to do it, right? I mean, like I don't even know if I trust the Canadian government to protect me and my information, let alone American government or Chinese government or any other external government, right? No other country has, you know, an obligation to protect me as a Canadian citizen, right? So how can I trust any government? Like I don't even know, like I said, I don't even know if I trust Canadian government to protect me, let alone a foreign government that has no legal, moral, ethical, or religious reason to protect me, right? So I personally think that I'm gonna go with a hot take and say it's a good idea that TikTok gets banned, but I don't think it's the ultimate solution to the problem at hand, which is data being sold. I think it's a small band-aid on the ocean of problems that are going on with data privacy online. I think it is a step in the right direction, but I think a lot more needs to happen in order for us as private citizens to truly be protected online. Um, if I could show you guys the number of calls that I'm getting from everywhere in Canada, the US, that are clearly scam calls. Like I'm literally getting more calls from scam calls than I am for, personal stuff. You know what I mean? It's like ridiculous, right? So I think this is just one of so many problems that are going online that it's absolutely ridiculous, right? So I think a lot more needs to be done in order to protect us online as private citizens. And I don't think any government is really doing the full steps, doing everything that they need to do to protect us as citizens. There really isn't enough that's being done. Now, it sucks for, obviously, there's many private corporations or individuals that are making money on TikTok, and yeah, it does suck for them. And I want people to be able to make money. I want companies, especially mom and pop shops, to make money. And TikTok was a really great tool for that. So I do feel bad for these individuals that have been able to brand themselves and make a money, and go and have publicity, and make viral videos. And TikTok has allowed for users to have a quick, easy, and most importantly, affordable, accessible way to advertise themselves, their product, their services, and to have that taken away because, well, there's no way for the government to protect their privacy. It sucks for them. I don't want people to lose money either. So although it's a solution for one problem, it also is creating a problem for other people as well, right? So now what do we do, right? And I know that I heard rumors that on YouTube that Mr. Beast put in his name to buy the app. Probably there's probably other people and other companies that, hey, we want to buy it, we want to buy it. It would be interesting to see if Mr. Beast does buy it, or Elon Musk or something. What would happen to the app? Would it be still as good? Would people still use it, etc.? I'm not too sure. And it does speak to this whole situation does show that, look, excuse me, how we operate, how we do business, how we do advertisement is different, right? It's not, I can't remember the last time I picked up a newspaper to, look at an ad, or, what's the next movie that I want to go watch or something. Like most people, I just go online for that, right? You watch a YouTube video for what movie is coming up next. Oh, hey, this horror movie is coming out, I want to go see it, blah blah blah, right? Everybody's online now, right? So I don't think going back to how we used to do things back in the day is really feasible. And honestly, my general rule of thumb is I personally wouldn't want to go back to how things used to be. right? I think the internet is a great way of connecting people, of everybody, you can connect to people that normally you would not be able to connect to beforehand, right? There's lots of people that I've met online that if I didn't have YouTube or I didn't have Gmail or whatever, I would not be able to communicate. I would not be able to have conversations with these individuals, right? So I think having YouTube, having TikTok in and of itself is not the problem, but there's definitely a lot of things about how the internet operates that needs to change. That much I do agree with, right? Now, I obviously am not a tech expert, so I'm not 100% sure what solutions could we have. What, like how do we handle this? How do we, make that community, that online community, while still being safe, while still ensuring that we're not putting ourselves or our friends and family in danger, right? So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Go check out Legal Eagle's video. Shout out to him. And I hope that this, guys, has been informative for you guys. And let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have TikTok? Are you happy about the ban? Are you sad about the ban? Does it affect you? Does it not affect you? Let me know, guys, what you think.